Welcome back to part 2. My name is Various James, and now we'll take a look at getting up and running with the React Native CLI as opposed to Expo. I'm going to assume that you went through the process of the first episode where you downloaded Node, React Native, Expo, Android Studios, and got it on both of your emulators up and running. With that said, I just am about to clear the awesome project that we made in the last one, so goodbye to it. To the trash can with you. And we'll get started here from the beginning. So it's quite literally just going to be me going through the React Native direct documentation for version 7.0. But with that said, we got Mac OS, we got our target operating system, so we got both of them here. We might be toggling back and forth here in a couple times, and we're going to need to install Homebrew. So we recommend installing Node and Watchman using Homebrew. We already have Node installed, but we do not have Homebrew. So let's go through the Homebrew commands that they have set up for us. So to get Homebrew, I'm going to copy this. I'm going to run over to my terminal app. I'm going to paste that whole thing in there. It's going to ask for my password. So this is the password to my computer. And let's see here. The following new directories will be created. We're going to go ahead and accept that. And that will give us the ability to do Homebrew things. Go, baby, go. Well, where that goes, y'all can just listen to my witty banter, of which I have none, because I'm very focused on making sure that this works. 100% on both those bad boys. Look, if you say you're done, you're done. No more needed. I don't know, maybe it is done. I can check. Guess it's not done yet. I'm sorry, guys. They don't pay me enough to get an editor. We may all sit here in silence and suffer together. If I do get an editor, give me a cool little background track. But not the Jeopardy theme, because that's violating trademark. As cool as that would be. Brew-V. I might need to reboot this now. So, alright, let's see here. What did it say? Installation successful. Homebrew is now... Run these commands in your terminal to add Homebrew to your path. I think this is the very important one right here. These 3 lines. Grab them. I'm going to do this the most manual way possible. Paste them in there, and now I can do brew install node. See if that starts working. Hey, there we go. See, I think that's the one thing that's not covered that often is you got to run those commands. That's kind of glossed over. I could imagine people being like, "Oh, I'm done. I'm done." You're not done. You're not done until you run these commands right there. Okay, so that would be the first one. They said run brew install node and then brew install Watchman, right? Because now, like before when I was typing in brew, right, you can get command not found in a lot of the instances there. But now it is clearly working. So while that one's installing Node, you can in fact run 2 of these things simultaneously. Oh, I do not want that. Shell, new window, new Homebrew. And then this would be brew install Watchman. Haha, there we go. Get that one up and running at the same time. Of course, this one finished as that one did. So that's nice to see. So we're getting both of these up and running. So those be the first parts. Let us just say here now, Ruby. Ruby is a general purpose programming language. React Native uses the scripts. Let's see. React Native uses .ruby version files. So some common Ruby managers are. Check your current Ruby version in the command line. Sweet deal. Now, if you're wondering why my terminal looks cooler than yours, especially since this is a fresh build, I just came up to the terminal here. I think I went to services. Was it services? I don't even remember. Shell. It was the settings. Yeah. And there you can click. You can make them look however you want. It's not like I changed my terminal. I don't know why I felt like pointing that out, but I don't want anyone to be like, man, my terminal doesn't look like his, and get confused. Okay, so we're in the terminal, new tab, Ruby version, and I have Ruby version 2.6.10 B20. Yeah, how wonderful. Now, some people have RVM. I've used RVM before. That's Ruby Version Manager. It lets you be able to switch between Ruby versions just by typing in a command. It's very similar to Node Version Manager or NVM. But I believe as long as you have Ruby installed on the computer, you're good to go. Because we use gems, which are like packages for NPM. They're called gems because Rubies and gems and all. And then here's the Xcode install, which if you're following along the last one, you should already have that one installed. Just a little, if you haven't gotten that far yet, the big kind of caveat there is when you'll need a Apple account and in order to download it. It'll likely the credentials will be different from your what you use to log into your computer. It'll be whatever your Apple account is. So with that, there's our Xcode, which I've got up and running. And now we have to go in there. We have to say, hey, we need these command line tools. So we're gonna need to go into preferences on Xcode. So I've opened up Xcode. Do they tell me where preferences are? Of course not. Why would they make it easy? It's gonna be over here. That's about this Mac. Xcode settings instead of preferences. Of course. My goodness. One more picture would have made everyone's life so much easier. Click locations, come down here, and command line tools. Do I have to click this button? Or just me having it, is that enough? You'll also need to install the Xcode command line tools. Open Xcode, then choose preferences. From the Xcode menu, go to locations panel, and install the Xcodes by selecting the most recent one from the things. Which, I mean, looking like my build's already got it. Sweet. Otherwise, I think you click that button there. I'm going to assume that I got it. We're just going to go from there. All right. Installing an iOS emulator. There you go. Xcode preferences and the components tab. So let me go back to Xcode. And let's go to the settings. They wanted me to click where? Xcode preferences and then select the components tab. See, I think I have to open up a project first for me to get into this section here. So let me get a project up and running. Did they tell you to download one? Did I didn't. Surely I didn't overlook them telling me to create awesome project, right? Oh, it's right there. There's the awesome project right there. Was I just one step away? Yeah, that's the components tab. Okay. So what we'll do, I have not installed any of these, but for the sake of brevity, I'm probably not even using that word correctly. There you go. Yeah, they weren't there. We will get up and running with the new one. So again, CD to my desktop, and I will run that npx React Native init project. Yes, I would like to install it. Go. And so the big difference between this one and the awesome project we created from the other one is this one was going to have an Android folder and an iOS folder inside of it for us to be able to play around with. And and so we can install a lot of packages that Expo itself doesn't support natively. So we're kind of out of the cradle and into the universe as a whole. So it's just installing the dependencies for us. How lovely. Look at that. I'm not even going to have to write any install commands now. Sweet. And yeah, CD iOS, there's your bundle installer and your bundle things. Cool beans. Your Ruby version is, but your gem file specified this. So I'm glad that the more errors I get, the better, because that means I'm able to like actually fix the problems with y'all. So let's get here and installing Ruby version by default, Ruby on Rails. Let's do this one. No idea if this is going to work or how this is going to work. All right, rvm-v. And sometimes you have to like reboot a terminal. So rvm-v. There it is. Yeah. So I had to restart it. So now I have Ruby version manager on here. All right. And of course I would have closed out the other tab. What did it say? I needed like ruby-v. I'm on 2.6. I think it said I needed 2.7.4. So using Ruby version manager, I need to change my Ruby. And of course, they're not telling me how to do that. All right. RVM change version. All right. Do they tell me? Of course not. RVM install and then the version number. And then that stuff. Okay, let's give that a run. So RVM install. I believe it's 2.7.4 was what I needed. No binaries available. Continuing compilation read. You have to see what available Ruby versions are there. List all Ruby versions. Oh. Is it going to just be the ones I have, though? To view all, run RVM list. Let's try that one. So shell new homebrew RVM list RVM help install. Apparently I didn't even have the help commands. How lovely. Does list work now? Please see documentation. So RVM list rubies. That'll tell me which ones I have on here. No rubies installed. Bro, they're being exceptionally helpful. That's just gonna tell me how to install them. Is RVM known gonna give me a list of all the known rubies that exist out there? RVM install 2.7, right? Is it 2.7.2? All right, now I'm look, this whole time probably 2.4 was working just fine. I don't know, it says it's been compiling this whole time. Downloading Ruby. Oh, completely overlooked this. So sorry. Yeah, downloading Ruby 2.7.4 over here. And it's still downloading. What was the command I ran over here? I'm crazy. I did run RVM install 2.7.4, and now this one is over here installing 2.7.2 for me. Okay, sweet. Sweet, sweet, sweet. So we'll get them all, and then we can use the RVM use command. I think that it was telling me, so I can actually set it and tell it which one to use as a default as well. What was it? RVM use, RVMV. So I will use this command to tell it which one is my default, which it looked like we needed to update it to 2.7.4. For everyone in the comment being like, no, it said a different one. RVM list and RVM use for default 2.7.4. All right. I don't know if it's going to say default next to it now, but it says I have this one. So let's jump back to which page were we on? This was the React Native setup. It was for when we were creating the project over here. Shell, new homebrew. Let's trash that. Paste that in. Oh, no. I don't want it there. CD desktop. CD desktop. There we go. Now we'll run it. This was the command that got us into trouble last time. So hopefully the new Ruby will take effect, and it will be able to install those gems and Cocoa Pods that it was telling us about. Oh, gosh darn it. Yep. Everyone in the comments, you have the right. You have the right to tell me. You have the right. It was 2.7.6 this whole time. Well, you're getting a thorough review of the Ruby Version Manager. This was actually a Ruby Version Manager sponsored video all along. Configuring. Please wait. Editor, you have my permission to have a silly goose walk across the screen at this point, because this was a blatant blunder. And that means I'm going to have to update the Ruby list as well. So RVM list. So now there should be two of them, which we got there. And we'll have 2.7.6 soon after. But now you know if you're ever running through a project and you're like, man, it says I need version 3 and I'm on version 2 something, you got the fix. And I think there's merit in that. Don't y'all? Look, we're all learning so much together today. This is where I look down and realize I haven't been recording this whole time. But fortunately I see the little red dot, so I think we're in the clear. I guess while this is downloading, we can talk about my favorite little side extension, and it's called Snack. They literally have it listed in their official docs, and this will let you actually code or copy your code from your project into the browser and create it. So if you were making some simple projects, go ahead and hit the Android one, hit play. I would challenge you to make them in Snack, and that would be because it's really easy to put this on your portfolio because a lot of people won't have the proper environments to do everything. And so you can just play around in here, change the editor and watch it go. Right? Change the code in the editor and watch it. So what the background color, FF00FF. Save. There you go. Boom. Magic. It's a wonderful little color picker app that they got going on here. But yes, for new devs who this video is probably catered towards getting this set up, use Snack for a couple of your first projects just to get your portfolio up there, because someone can come over here and be like, oh yes, because when this is on your GitHub, because you can directly link this iOS and Android thing right on your GitHub portfolio, people don't have to go through all this setup for getting things up and running and tested. But do know that this is built upon Expo, so this is similar to the other project where, or the first video. All right, let's see. Have I wasted enough time? I mean, have I instructively guided you for long enough? RVM-list, and you can see there's the little checkbox there next to that one. So we want to change the default to the 2.6, and I can do RVM list. And boom, there it is. Now the little checkbox is down here on the 2.7.6. Now to not look so silly, let's delete that. And let's try this. Third time's the charm? Possibly, maybe. About to find out. No. I changed it, right? RVM list. Hold on, did I do the... Oh, you know why it does that sometimes? And that's because you have to, again, restart that editor, or that terminal, excuse me. So now shell new window, or you can do new page, cd desktop. Is it gonna be, I'm hitting up arrow, by the way, is how I'm like going through previous commands, but I'm not seeing it, so let's go grab it from here. All that time ago we began the adventure. Okay, here we go. On the desktop, create that awesome project. Give it to me. Let me see it. Use the correct Ruby. Yo, I'm not saying anyone should update their docs, but like low key, since you know this is the default, they clearly know what I'm supposed to be doing and should do it. Yes, with gems may require sudos. CocoaPods is not installed. CocoaPods is necessary, so we'll do gems. May require sudo. Boy, don't you love how many hoops it takes how many hoops you gotta jump through for iOS, but, you know, Android is like, oh, yes, ready to go. We were ready all along. Now I say that, but we still haven't gotten either of them up and running on this new project, so for all I know, nightmares await me. Bro, if nightmares await me for Android, then, like, right now would be a great time to pause it and go foreshadowing. But that won't happen. We vibing. We straight vibing. Alright, I think at this point, while that runs it, I'm going to open it up in my editor of choice, WebStorm Supreme. I don't want to hear any of these VS Code fanboys out there. WebStorm is clearly the superior editor based upon my personal and only valid anecdotal experience. But yeah, so that'll take a second to install. That's just adding things, I believe, inside the iOS folders. But we have the iOS folder and the Android folder, and we are looking rather spicy. Oh yeah, the gems and the gem locks. Got it. Yep. So from there, I'll open up the terminal, and I'm going to prepare to run the one and only command I don't even know what it is. So I'm going to check package.json. If you're ever wondering, because you downloaded a project and you're like, hey, what commands do I run? We run over to the package.json, and looks like it's going to be npm start and npm Android or npm iOS, depending on which one of these bad boys we want to build and launch for. So, again, still just over here, but that, I believe, means I can run over here and do my yarn start, because that's going to boot the Metro server. Now, this time, there's the Watchman that we had to install, and I'm starting to get harassed. Watchman. Now, if you don't get these, it's probably because, you're not on a fresh computer, and you're probably already working just fine. And over here, do we have my Android emulator open? I don't think we do, but I believe if I just hit A, it will open it for me. The operation cannot be unable to look in Java runtime. Ladies and gentlemen, we got to install a Java runtime, don't we? Oh, delightful, delightful. And in fact, I bet if I had done my due diligence and I'd come over here and I had, clicked Android as my target. Man, should have just made these 2 videos, but there we go. Ah, yes. There it is, the Java development kit. Nailed it. Good. But we already did the hard work here. We downloaded Brew earlier, so shell, new tab window, and we'll do this one as well. Hopefully get both these bad boys up and running. Let's go with we did that. I think we did. It was probably part 1, right? We already got an Android virtual device up and running. We made our little Pixel 4. So, truth be told, I'm feeling a little confident. Maybe. I don't know. Might need to do this. Might need to do this part down here. Configure the Android home environment variable. Are both these done installing? Not that one, but this one is. This one is. Hold on. If you have an Android emulator running, the quickest way to get started, device. All right. Well, back to the awesome project. Okay. Opening iOS app. They found it. It's working good. There's our 14. Look at it go. Look at it go. Guys, I have so much faith. I have so much faith that this is going to work. 100%. 100% right now. That boots up. All right, let's see if we can get the Android finished now that that's probably done. Over here. Oh, looked like you needed a password, good sir. All right. Opening the app on iOS. Found it. Found the booted iPhone 14. This app's going to look a little different. They have a full app defined over here for scroll views and read what happens next. So that's nice. And here's a little fun one. Here's the fun one. If we cd into the iOS folder, and now I am inside iOS, I believe it is XED in iOS. Now we'll open up the iOS folder inside of Xcode for me. Or you can come over here and you can hit like open project, and you would click the iOS folder, and that will open it. That'll open it up for us in Xcode. There are 2 concurrent builds running on the system. Did I already run one? Maybe. Maybe. There it is. I think it was probably because I needed to click that OK over here. So I have my awesome project, and I should. So now I can come over here. If I plugged in my phone, I could build it on my phone. But now I'm over here, and I'm on my iPhone 14, and I should be able to hit play, and it'll run through the bundle and put it on my, oh, we're getting the build here. I think that's from this one down over here, because this is the Pro Max, maybe? And there it is. Yeah, this one's still building. This one's going to do its own thing. All right. iOS working. iOS working. All right. And now let's see if we can't get the Android Studio one up and running. We'll come over here. All right. And usually that takes a bit. I'll talk about this a bit. Normally this takes like a hot minute to load the first time, and then after that it's much quicker. It just takes it to bundle, unless you do like start adding modules where you have to do more installations. But like quick text change or something. So over here, see where it says step 1. Let's see, where does it say that in the app over here? I think. Oh. Control Shift F, and it is step 1. Oh. Fat finger. My goodness. There you go. Step 1. Oh, that's the title for the section. Is where they put that, and I can put I think a couple of those there, and immediately you saw the little blue update, the little hot update at the top. I can remove those. They go away. And that's the Metro server over here still running. In fact, I come over here and I hit R, and that will do the exact same thing as Expo was doing before. So there's that one. And we were waiting on one more thing for Android Studio, which was just to open. Yes. Okay, so, and this is now going to be the build that we generated from Xcode by hitting the play button up here. Is running the same thing. This one is going to be on the iPhone 14 Pro as opposed to just the iPhone 14. And as you can see that labeled here up at the top. So you can kind of see how I'm just like picking and choosing at my own discretion kind of what I want built and when. And the final boss right now is whether or not we got Android to work. So for that, we need to make sure that we have the Android app open. I'll tell you this, guys, I'm loving this new Mac, because my other one, like, struggled and died if I even had one emulator open, and right now I'm juggling 3 and the editor over here. Now, this was our old app, right? So we don't particularly care for it. We'll close out of both of these, because, again, this is without Expo. My goodness, come on. You can do it. Drag and swipe up. Guys, I failed drag school. There we go. Jumping back, and I think I just hit A to opening the app on Android. And JS server's already running, launching, it's downloading it. This looks pretty atypical. Only time will tell, though. Starting a Gradle bundle. Subsequent builds will be faster. But let's hope this one is the one that works. Or not. It's going to be like, hey, the documentation we provided was not up to snuff. I mean, we got the Java. That was what we were missing last time. Oh, the humanity, what happened? Why have you failed me so? I actually think that it just said that there was a... all right. Remember that? All right, my editor has the right to give me the foreshadowing. I needed to do these environment variables that I was telling me about. I think we're using Bash. Like I said, it's a fresh computer. I mean, at this point, I can make the decision on what I want to do. But it was my error was saying, hey, you don't have any of these in your thing. So I'm going to look for the Bash profile. So let's come over here and check. That would be, I think, just right here. Now, I have a little thing called Hi Joe that I added. You might need to just look up how to see hidden files, which I am looking at right here to see my hidden files. And I do have a Bash profile, which is what I was looking for. I would say using the, if you're using Bash, then do the .bash profile or the -bash rc, which I have both of these right here. And it wants me to, it says add the following lines to these files. So to do that, which you didn't have to check, you could come to your terminal and just nano into .bash _profile, right? And that brings me into my Bash page and says, hey, grab these right here. And I'll paste those in. Although I think, Command X, yes to save. And I can nano that again to see that they're still there. And then it says dot for my RC. Yeah, actually the other ones are not needed. You want to put them here. Which, that's what I kind of thought. Okay. Now we'll be able to have, just like we have Ruby Version Manager as like a thing in here, we now have the stuff for Android in here. So I can hit Command X, Y. You can go back into the Bash profile. I'm going to, I believe it is Command K or Control K. Yeah, there it is. That would be Control K. Got rid of those. And so now, those were what I was missing from my bash rc config file. But I kind of wanted to show you guys where those were located. And now this would be the, hopefully the last one here. We'll start it up. And I can hit A for the Android build. Failed to build. Oh, aha. Okay, remember how I said you have to like usually close terminals when you make a change? So I believe that would be the same thing here, where I just need to change or redo the terminal window. So let's try that one more time. Yarn start. What's it saying? So this right here is telling me, hey, to just clear my Watchman. So on the off chance that is doing something, which it's not, but wouldn't be the first time. Let me just paste that in here. God, you gotta love when it gives me like extra floaty characters at the front and back, and now I have to like run all the way. And now it's still saying there's a quote. Oh. Who knows? And then A for Android. What went wrong? SDK location was not found. Let's see. I'm gonna do it via the terminal. I might need to reboot WebStorm. That I might actually have to like reboot WebStorm to get the thing to change. So CD desktop ls cd into the awesome project. And what is it saying about Watchman? I think there's like another service and with all the other things I have been running recently. And let's see. If this one errors out, then back to drawing board. Something went wrong. It said SDK location was not found. Defined SDK location home variable. Does it need to be in the profile? Was I wrong about my statement about needing to remove it? Wow, what a hot take. nano.bash underscore profile. And I'm gonna get these right here. The other thing that I probably ought to do is like looking at this, I should probably verify that like this is actually here and not somewhere else, not like someplace weird. So that would be computer, and then under library, and then did I just miss a piece of the setup here? Let me run through this like again here. Download and install Android Studio. I did that. While the Android Studio installation will just make sure the following boxes are checked. Android SDK, SDK platform, and virtual device. Click next. Once you're set up, do that. Okay, let me close that. Hit yes to save that to my profile. I will reboot all of these. Man, dude, I totally jinxed myself when I was like, yeah, Android will be fine. And I like called myself out. I was like, well, it's fine until it isn't. Oh, I think it was this. This is running. Aha, you were running. But I mean, I'm over here celebrating. I don't know that was actually it. That might have been it, because it was giving me like an error on like the terminal speed, or on the terminal part. So CD to my desktop, CD into the awesome project, and yarn start. And then, so what is this about? Doesn't tell you. Watchman return warning, recall one time, mostly because of too clear Watchman. Run this. Okay. Oops. Window. So good now? Yes. Yes. Okay. And run Android. And the gun could not determine the dependency. SDK location not found. Thing is, I set both of those up. Like, we did do the brew. And this is for both Intel and Mac with M1s. So I'm fairly confident about that. And let's just see what this says. For Mac users. Android local properties. The thing is, I don't know that this is there. Like, I didn't see this. So, again, go home. Home has a library. And inside of library are SDKs. Yep. And there's the SDK. Right? So they're there. Copy. Terminal. CD nano to edit, nano.bash rc. And it was home library Android SDK. It is there. Peculiar. With it being then, now that I have home, Android home, there's /emulator and platforms, which is emulator right there. And platforms right there. So I'm not seeing the hiccup that's causing this. I don't have a ZHS, or, yeah, ZSH, right? I haven't been just messing up and not putting it in the right one. Let me Command X that nano.z at. Oh, I have a ZSH RC. Guys, I'm so sorry. Welcome to the train wreck. But you know what? Sometimes it's the most human experience of it all. Because if I messed up somewhere along the round, then hopefully somewhere inside here you were also able to catch your thing. Okay, so I've made a change to my thing, so I know I'm going to need to do that. I'm going to go to Shell, new tab for Homebrew, CD Desktop, CD Desktop, CD Awesome Project, and now Yarn Start. And now I can hit A for Android. And there they go. Yeah, it found the Android. It found the kits. Oh, it found them. Guys, I just assumed I was using Bash profile. My bad. That one's on me. Anyway, this little tool thing is called Hide Switch. Very useful. Very, very useful. And helpful. And with that, I mean, that's going to be it. That'll be me setting up the laptop. It's kind of like my final hurdle to get this thing up and running.